Hello and welcome to Byju's classes. It is a solemn initiative by Byju's classes to support, guide and enrich our students in their endeavor to pass through India's most prestigious examination, that is Civil Services Examination, or commonly known as IAS examination. Here in this series of talk, we invite renowned personalities, intellectuals, academicians, career diplomats, and civil servants to share their wisdom with the students so that students get a new perspective and analysis to the next level. It is equally helpful for every class of students, be beginners or advanced students. In this context, today, we are honored to have Professor Dr. D.P. Agarwal, former chairman UPSC, former member UPSC with us, and who else can mentor the civil services aspirants better than him. Professor Agarwal has been an eminent teacher, educational administrator, and institution builder. Professor D.P. Agarwal, apart from being chairman of UPSC for 6 years and member of UPSC for 5 years, together serving 11 years in UPSC, has also served as founder director of Indian Institute of Technology and Management, Gwalior. He was also dean and professor at IIT Delhi and joint educational advisor with Ministry of Education. Earlier it was Human Resource Development Ministry, Government of India. So we welcome Professor D.P. Agarwal, sir. Thank you, sir, for being with us.
My pleasure.
Sir, there are lots of confusion among IAS aspirants with regards to personality test. People call it interview. Is it interview or personality test, sir?
I'm very happy that you had asked me this question. And I'm so happy that Byju is taking initiative in demystifying some of the issues which bogs young students and candidates. I've been telling at a number of forums, UPSC declared quite in advance through Gazette that this third level of assessment for aspirant to become a civil servant is called personality test. Interview is a common parlance, which is a misnomer. People believe that rapid fire questions would be asked, like an interview on a particular subject area, and be assessed. UPSC has made it clear, as can be read from Gazette, that we want to look at the personality of a candidate, and look at some of the qualities the candidate possesses to become a civil servant. That means, does he analyze issues? Is he inquisitive? Is he honest? Does his personality show positivity? And things like that, which in interview doesn't happen. Whenever a candidate thinks in terms of personality, question always comes, can it be built after you qualify the means? It cannot be. And therefore, UPSC want to look at how have you been built over the year. And when you are young age at 21, 22, 23, you have already grown from your childhood to this level. Of course, today, you have been assessed to look at in your civil service quality, but the fact remains the games you play, your parents teach you few things, the environment you live. If you live in a village, you learn a lot of activity in village. You look at togetherness, you look at brotherhood, you look at to help each other. You live in a city, you tend to interact with people who are quite a number. You travel long distances. And therefore, each moment in your life add to your personality. Some people are good in reading magazines, some people are good in reading newspapers. So it has nothing to do with GK. It is how did you acquire many skills and many qualities in you over the years.
So,
For example, if you are a student in a university, did you learn in the university apart from your coursework? Did you learn how to interact with fellow student? Did you learn how to interact with your superior, the faculty? Which are very helpful. When you work as a civil servant, you try to work in a team, you try to look at benefits for the society, and therefore you try to meet people who are a stranger to you at times. And you also deal with your seniors. And they must be all acquired. And these are the skills when you respect a person, you listen to a person. So personality test is quite a different ballgame. It's not an interview at all. And what a student must keep in mind, that once they are ready for a personality test, they must look at themselves, what the strengths they have, how did they acquire those strengths. If they have weaknesses, well, these weaknesses are so difficult that they will hamper their work as civil servants. For example, somebody have a weakness of throwing names. Some may have weakness of trying to weave through the way, or maybe lying at times. There are people. Now these are the qualities which you have to be aware, and they don't help you as civil servant. Civil servant is a hardworking, honest man. He has to look at very positively. So he doesn't meander things to achieve goals. So if that is the weakness, one has to overcome. And of course, as a civil servant, if there's a little opportunity, can you make best of it? So for every candidate to understand their personality, understand what they have within them, understand them what the weakness which may go against them, and maybe can he utilize them to build their career.
great.
I
Sir.
thought that will help candidate to understand. And again repeat that it is not an interview.
Okay.
It can be any point which make you understand that any questions can be asked to understand whether you are an honest man, you have been hardworking on your life, can you analyze things, can you listen carefully. So any question, it may not be a question which come from a text material or anything, and I don't think it will come from text because text already been judged.
So, good, sir. So that means one thing is clear. It is a personality test.
It's a personality test.
Personality test.
Not
Sir,
an interview.
sir, regarding this personality test, there is one question as a student, if I may ask. Like, if I don't answer 2, 3, 4 questions, but I am honest, I am honestly accepting that I don't know the answer, will it affect the prospect of a student?
Normally it should not, but obviously interview, as you know, I mean, this personality test is given for 30 minutes. And out of 30 minutes, there are experts, 4 or 5. One presumes that everybody will have 5 minutes. And if somebody asks you a question and for every question you don't know, obviously it shows that you are not prepared. In your
Right.
personality, there was something which did not allow you to acquire that knowledge. While you have qualified the prelim and main, I don't think there would be many times, occasions, when you will not know the answer.
Right, sir.
Maybe at times you are scared that how do I present my answer? But I doubt that there would be many questions because it's not facts. It is a discussion point.
Correct.
So
sir.
on discussion point, you know a few things and you have to make a presentation in a logical manner. So I doubt that there would be many questions where you have to say no. But you can't guess. You are not there for guessing. You are there only to discuss few things. So yes, sometimes it's a factual question. You may not know it. Nothing wrong about it. But when you prepare for mains, you even remember the statistics. If somebody asks you, what do you think the population of this country in future and what will affect the life in cities or villages? Now you can't say you don't know what is the growth rate of population. So once having done this and understood what is the background in the rural areas and what are the conditions in the urban areas, it's a question of the way you try to discuss the issue.
Thank you, sir. Now, sir, there are issues regarding private jobs and government jobs. People are hankering after the civil services examination. People are opting for private jobs as well. So my question is, as a layman, What do you think the importance, or you can say the significance of the civil services in our country going down?
I don't believe that. We are a democratic nation. We require people to support government,
So,
work for the government. We have permanent career bureaucrats now. In this government, even also in the previous government, and I had a chance to go to the government from education. Even in present government, the experts are taken. So there's a mix of people come from expert areas as well as career bureaucrats. This mix is very helpful for the nation to grow. And as we currently are on a rapid growth path, and we are dealing with a very new world, I don't think there would be an occasion. I can't perceive even 10 years down or 15 years down the line that importance of bureaucracy will not be there. What bureaucracy brings is an integration of various thoughts when presented to the government. He listens from various people, the experts, the society, the citizen. Based on that, it creates their own impression, their own knowledge, and then try to transfer that to the lawmaker.
Right, sir.
And therefore, I don't think there would ever be an occasion. But then the question is that one can make an equal dent in development in the country as a bureaucrat. You can also make a similar dent in contribution to the country as a private worker.
Right.
Now we know those are the people in IT sector earlier. Those are the people in the defense science and research. Those are the people in academics, like a professor of IIT or I am. Or for example, if you are working in BRC, nuclear test, and we know they have done tremendous effort, and we have seen during Corona time that our doctors has a fantastic job. So the point is that there's enough in this country for everybody who is bright, committed to achieve. Yes, civil service allows lot of opportunity to know what citizen wants per se. And to that extent, it becomes a vehicle in bridging the gap between the citizen and the government.
Right, sir.
And his role, therefore, if he is an honest person, his role is very beneficiary for society at large. And therefore, many a time people say that if I take a government job and become a bureaucrat, I can do one good thing which would affect large number of people. It's a fact. Yes. So I think bureaucracy have a lot of role to play. Obviously, they work very hard.
Sir.
For them, 24/7. People think that will be very easy, and these people don't work. That's incorrect completely. I have seen bureaucrats working. I have lived with them. They are 24/7 worker.
Thank you, sir. Now, sir, there are confusion about hobbies also. Like you have lots of rumors that we find in this market or among common people or common aspirant. What hobbies should be failed? These hobbies should not be failed. What is your expert opinion on that, sir? How to tackle hobbies?
There's nothing expertise about it. So when you look at a personality, what do you do in a personality? You educate yourself. You do few things for entertainment as well as beyond your classroom which interest you. For example, you come to study physics, but you are also interested in camera work.
Right, sir.
So you do photography, you want to learn, or you want to interested in films, how films are made, what is the quality of film, and that gives you an additional kick or an advantage or sharpen your mind. So hobbies generally represent an activity which you do to sharpen some of your other interests beyond your education, and there you take more interest. Sometimes it could be social work because that gives you satisfaction. So I would say education is for the need probably to get a job.
So,
Hobby is for something which you do for your choice, to enjoy, and to make some kind of change in somebody's life, your own life. So there is a subtle difference. But then both of them add to your personality. Now education will tell you that what is AI, artificial intelligence. But if you apply AI to do something good for society as a hobby, that gives you more interest, and then people recognize for it, and you will take more and more interest. Different cases will come, so that will also your personality. So therefore, I think what UPSC must be thinking, that not only you tell us where were you educated, where were you born, which kind of activities you did as a school child or a university boy, were you a topper in debate or were you a good in sports, but what did you do to please yourself? As I said, somebody could be a great photographer. Somebody could be a very good cook. For example, I enjoy cooking. So that builds your personality. So distress. So these are issues UPSC wants to know. Now, when you are under stress, and so do you have something beyond? Somebody like to read a book. That could be his hobby.
So,
Somebody like to visit the good places, the parks, maybe the best of the parks. Maybe he likes to travel a lot. He takes 1 week off, so that becomes a hobby. And every time you learn. The hobby is one which allows you to learn and learn almost in depth of it. And this gives you a lot of advantage. Sharpen your strengths, sharpen your faculties, because you are enjoying it. So that's the difference. Hobby brings an enjoyment in you. Education can also bring an enjoyment. But then you require, it's a program is sure to be done. I thought that's the difference. And UPSC must be asking this purely to see how it has built in your personality.
sir. Now, sir, since suppose I
And the
am...
point, you
Sir.
also asked me this question, what should be filled?
Yes, sir.
Nothing wrong can be filled. If you are reading books, your hobby is to read books, you write. Because somebody is within their rights to know which book have you read.
Right.
If you say you like to read Premchand, and they can ask you, have you read his Godan or Gavan? It will not be out of place. Will it be out of place? It will not be a textbook material. If you say, I want to travel in villages, if you ask me, which village did you see and what crops were you saw and what kind of houses were there, what kind of life was there, I thought nothing wrong about it. But if you say that I went to look at some of the historical buildings, and they can ask you which year was it built, who built it, what kind of material was used. So this gives you an overall personality in itself. So I would say don't fill anything which you don't know. Don't lie. Why would you lie? If you have no hobbies, say no. Nothing is going to happen. People will talk to you 30 minutes because it's your personality. Maybe that was not the direction which you had time to build. Maybe in your village you had no opportunity, but in the village you have an opportunity to go around your bull or bull cart and do a lot of activity. That could be a hobby. What's
Right.
wrong about it? So there's no flashy hobby, there's no urban hobby, there's no rural hobbies. Hobby is a hobby.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. Now, sir, suppose I haven't worked or I didn't know about personality and I cleared my mains exam. What would be your suggestion to me that which area should I work so that I can maximize my marks? Or what would be your, as an experienced expert, what should I do, sir?
I think this question is not right. Why this is not right? Because before you take any plunge to decide to become a civil servant and take this exam, which is one of the best exams in the world, only merit people are selected. Luckily, UPSC ensures nothing is hidden. There is no card up the sleeve. So they have told you that this is going to be a 3-stage exam. So you can't say that I didn't know what left after the main. So you should read Gazette before you take an attempt. If anybody is guiding these candidates, they must tell what kind of competition they have, what are the 3 stages of the exam. So everybody knows that there would be a day when it will be a personality test. And it is also given very clearly. I must say great about UPSC, and that's the only organization, mind you, in this country which plays all its cards open. It doesn't hide anything. It clearly written what is expected in the personality test. I can't add more than that. And therefore, any candidate saying that he didn't know, he is befooling himself. So please don't encourage this question to candidate. If you are helping them as an organization called BYJU'S,
Sir.
the first talk for first week should be to tell them what about this competition and what is involved in total.
Sir, sorry. Yes.
And also try to look at what they've been doing in past. So they become aware of what personality they built. So now you know clearly. Now yes, of course somebody have not read books and somebody say read books. If you have time to read 6 or 8 or 10 books of a particular author, why not? Because even there are 4 general papers today, general studies, a lot of readings are required. More depth is gone.
Right, sir.
And you also read newspapers, you read magazines. Somebody should interest you.
Sir.
Maybe a day has come when you are interested to look at some good photographs and you want to know who's a photographer. Maybe you heard a good music and you want to get into more in the music. Nothing wrong about it.
Right, sir.
So the process is continuous learning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, do you think any dress code or something of this personality test which a student should go for?
It's a democratic nation. It's not a military rule, so
Sir.
there is no dress code. The only dress code could be a normal person goes when he meets senior people. He should be properly dressed, that's all. I mean, I expect that he'll not wear torn shoes, torn shirts. He'll have a washed shirt. But if you wear a tie in a month of March or a coat when everything is sweating and you may look ugly, don't do that. Be decent. And you happen to be a women candidate and suddenly you don't know how to wear a sari, what can you do? Be nicely dressed. I mean, after all, you are interacting with 5 very important people. Not important, they are judging you. But they are senior people. So when you even meet your relatives which are come first time or second time, you try to dress well. So dress well, that's all.
So to sum up, sir, like interview or personality test actually judges the integrity, honesty, simplicity and hardworking nature of a student. Sir, is it possible to say something on the body language of a student that he or she should be following, or something like which has a positive impact on the board or negative impact on the board?
See, what one requires in these cases is a very balanced person. A personality which is a balanced personality would recognize that you are not theatrical. You are not doing this way or that way. No dancing is required. You can't change. Till yesterday you were studying, you were behaving in a particular manner. You can't keep on smiling. If you don't smile on a regular basis, can you continue to doing this?
No, sir, no.
So you can't change. Remain what you are. Be decent, be polite, understand the questions, listen carefully. And when somebody is talking to you, he expects that you are talking to him. You are not talking to third person there. If I am talking to you, I can't look at him, can I?
No,
I am
sir.
talking to you. So these are general behavior pattern of any human being, whether it's civil servants or anybody. Idea is that I have a confidence to talk to you. I have a confidence to impress my 5 people sitting here. And normally a vision is what, 30 degrees, 35 degrees? So everybody will come in it. I have not to turn this way or that way to show. And somebody says you must smile and you have never smiled. How can you smile? I've been told many times when somebody takes my photograph and says smile. I can't smile, what can I do? But you can. So I am saying be what you are. Be logical, listen question carefully. Look at the board very respectfully. They are senior people full of knowledge and they are there to only support you and judge you. They are not there to belittle you, bring you down. I can assure you, UPSC never do this.
So, sir, there is one last thing that I would like to ask. Like, students are a bit hesitant whether there should be a very polished English or polished Hindi, Shuddha Hindi, and can they use mix or English Hindi both? If they are from English medium, or if they are from Hindi medium, can they use English terms? So what should be the language, or it can be bilingual?
See, UPSC has ensured that you decide what language you want to be interviewed. Having done that as your choice, you are generally expected that you would be around. Idea is not to speak Shakespearean English. Idea is the correct English, correct grammar. There is no need to use a lot of flowery words because they are discussing an issue, and where whatever you are comfortable to communicate with them, your ideas and views in a manner in which you want to communicate. The idea is that you are answering, and if the way you answer and the answer does not reach them in the same spirit, it doesn't help you. So it is your effort to communicate to them in a manner in which, so you can be a little slower, you can be a little faster. It's up to you. Judgment. Yes, many times you can come to a situation where probably a proper word is not coming in English. There is nothing wrong if you speak a reasonably polite the other language.
Right.
But it could be only Hindi, because you don't expect many the experts that they would know other languages so easily. Hindi per se, most of them would know, because in our lives we have learned, firstly, Hindi is Rashtra Bhasha, and secondly, that most of us in this country, whether I come from Tamil Nadu or Kerala or Gujarat or UP, we understand a bit of Hindi thanks to Hindi film music and things like that. So I think that would help. Having chosen Hindi probably, I'm not saying use a language which Jaishankar Prasad has used or Bharatendra has used. The language of the today must be used. But please do not use slang. You never can converse in slang with a superior, a person who is senior to you in age. With your father also you don't use slang. So please don't use slangs. Don't use shortcuts. It is not writing a message to a friend. Because 2 in a message is a numeral 2, not TWO. So don't do that. Abbreviations to me not to be used, slang not to be used. Language could be reasonable, communicative, confidence. Don't stammer too much. If you have a difficulty, slow down. I think these are a few tips which we learned. When I was an engineering student of third year, we used to have IOC and we learned this trick. And that's where the education helps. So think that the other point is that never think it is the end of life. Everybody will do better in any exam if they think life is there to contribute. Maybe in this area, maybe another area. I wish the best. And thank you.
Now, sir, there are students who must be thinking of taking this civil services examination. What would be your message to those freshers, beginners? How should they approach this exam? And what should be the do's and don'ts or the areas that they should work on?
I think first of all, you must know why are we doing it. That means you know your strength, you know weaknesses, you must understand the exam. And if you know what exam is about, and you have decided to take this exam, there is no way but to cover the whole syllabi. Read very good books, work very hard, comprehend properly. Don't think that you are read. So reading books will not help. What helps is that you read a book, you comprehend it, try to represent that in your own words, tend to write these question answers. And when you are sure that you can present your ideas properly, that's a practice you have to do. Please also understand that it is quite different than the university. And that is where the last stage is the personality test. If you look at the examination itself, the first one is about to know your country, your culture, your history, your geography, your social science, your humanities. The second aspect of it is to know the science, the economics, to know a bit of statistics, to know what the bureaucrats working on the ground. So they want to develop your overall personality to be ready to become a civil servant.
Right,
and
sir.
that's a prelim exam. There they want to judge in a larger areas. What is your knowledge base? How do you understand? So if there is a question on in ethics, it's a pure question when you have to look at the situation and put yourself there and answer. So there cannot be one clear answer. So everybody, based on his personality, is going to answer. And the second stage is a fixed syllabi curriculum exam where you have to read that. And the quality of reading has to be very high. And in the university is this different kind of marking.
Right, right.
Now
sir.
here, the marking is that once you get your merit, whether you are 2 on 1 mark, they would be merit 1 and merit 2. And the seats are fixed. So the question is work very hard, read very good books, do continuous learning, prepare, comprehend properly, write very well, and write a good language. No slangs.
No slang.
So my word to them, keep your heart, keep motivation up, work very hard. Success would come. But other than hard work, no other way success would come.
Right. sir.
UPSC cannot be approached. UPSC has the impeccable records of quality and merit selection.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so very much. Hopefully, it will definitely help the upcoming bureaucrats of this nation. Thank you.